Hi everyone, so I'm back again to do another video for you and I'm out of shots. This is what happens when you're your own cameraman. Today I'm going to do you a flower that I haven't done before. It's one that I've looked at many times and been asked by students to do and never got round to doing. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do an Aquilegia. So we'll get down onto the business part of the video. Right, so the cutters I'm going to use are a calyx cutter and a simple leaf cutter. So starting off with the with one of the petals, you've got two different kinds of petals in here. You've got this shape of petal, and then you've got the pointed petal, which is the back petal, to get your flower. This is the flower that we're doing. Hang on, turn that round for you like that, so you can see that. And I've got some dust on there. Whoops, beg your pardon. So there we are, that's the Aquilegia. It's actually called Bluebird, is this one. So I'm going to do the central petals first of all, which are unwired. This is a different way to doing a flower to the ones that I've done in the past, because you can't wire all of the petals, only the back petals on this one. So I roll some paste out and I picked some blue dust up there from somewhere on my work surface, and we'll start off by cutting out the simple leaf cutter. Now you notice I haven't done a groove or anything like that, and I've rolled the paste fairly thickly, if you can see that. It's probably about 3 times as thick as the normal paste that I would normally roll out. So I'm going to get that onto my hand, and then you want your textured rolling pin, your silk veining tool, and leaving a gap at the bottom. You don't want to touch that. Roll out in a fan motion both ways like that, and then on the edge of your finger just go around the edge to frill the edges and go around the other way. That's it, like that. So you've got a frilly edge on it, and then this is the tricky part. Bring the two sides up together like that, and then roll between your fingers so that you're rolling a little tail on the base of the petal like that. Now this has got to curve back, so what I do when I put it on my foam, I put it over the central part of the bobble foam like that, so that it curves over the central part there. If you haven't got that, an apple tray or anything like that, something that's deep is what you need for that. Right, so the next part of the exercise is to cut out the back petals. Like with most of my videos, I'm only cutting out one of each, because otherwise we'll be here forever and people get bored of watching videos if you do too much. Again, you don't want to roll your paste too thin. Calyx cutter, cut out a piece like that. Make sure you don't stretch any of the petals, and just get rid of that paste. Now the next stage, you need to have something else to cut this out on, because don't try and attempt to cut this out on your board, because you don't want to damage it. So we're going to take that calyx off of there, and I've got a small chopping board here. I think it came with some cheese or something like that I'm going to use. And then I've got, if you've got a scalpel or a sanding knife or something like that, then cut into the centre like that and just go around. And basically what you're doing is you're separating each of these petals, so you've got 5 separate petals. Doesn't matter how neat you are at the bottom, because we're going to do something else with that bit, so you won't see that anyway when we've done it. So you've got your 5 petals like that. Now another reason why you don't want it too thin is because we have to get a wire into this as well, and because we don't have a groove like you would normally have, your paste needs to be thick enough so you can get your wire in. depending on which paste you're using, this is quite sticky so I don't need it, but don't forget to put some either glue or some egg white on your wire, and put your wire into the base of each of these petals. Then again with your finger and your thumb, roll down like that, so you've got a thin part. Because if you don't do this, and I made this mistake with some flowers that I was doing, I did a load of petals and I did them all wrong, so I had to do them all again. Now turn that round onto your hand, and then with your silk veining tool, roll out and roll out. When you're doing this, you don't need to thin the edges with your dog bone tool or your ball tool, because you're going to thin it out with this, like that. And then what you do then is get the tip of the petal and nip it up like that. So you nip that together. If you saw my lily video, you'll see what I mean. I did it on there, and obviously they're being bigger petals, you can see what I'm doing. And do that with all of your petals, then just set those to one side to dry. Right, so when you've done that, you do that with all of the 5 petals that you've got for that particular flower. I'm not doing loads of them for the simple reason I'm going to do 2 different colours, and I think the colouring part is the important thing, because I'm going to show you a different version of this. Because like a lot of flowers, there are a lot of different versions of Aquilegia, or if you don't recognise the name, the common name is the columbine, which is the wild version of this particular flower. So the next part is to do the centre part, that's your stamens, which I've got here. Now there are a lot of stamens in the centre of this particular flower, so what we need is a 26 gauge wire, and I've got a 26 gauge wire hiding on here somewhere. There it is, I think. Right, so you want some fine stamens, the finest ones you can get hold of. I've just thrown them on the floor. Just bear with me a second. These are called micro stamens, so if you have a word with your sugar craft shop and see if they've got some of these, or if you shop online, make sure you look for micro stamens. And what I'm going to do is, there's a lot of stamens in the centre, but I couldn't tell you exactly how many there are. So for that reason, because we're using ready-made stamens, unlike some of the others where I've used cotton, I'm using 5 of these stamens together and then fold them in half. So it looks a lot of stamens anyway. Now then, you need to attach these to your wire. So a bit of your stem text, stretch it to see which is the sticky side. You can either start it on your wire or on your stamens like I'm doing. So leaving a good proportion of your stamens up like that. Roll that on. And then attach your wire like that. And then tape down. The reason I tape all the way down the wire is when you're attaching your petals, they tend to grip a bit better and they don't move around if you tape down far enough, and it helps to stop your petals from moving around once you've got them on. So the next step then is to colour that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this over. This is my colours that I use to do the bluebird colouring, and for the stamens I'm going to dust them with some sunflower dust from Edible Art. I've picked some blue up there, we don't want that on there. And then just dust the tips. The reason I'm dusting them is because if you buy yellow stamens, they're not always deep enough, so I needed to add some extra deep colour, and I've gone down the cottons a bit on these as well. There we are. So that's those done. So I'll just set those to one side. Now on to the colouring of the bluebird. That's the soft one. Now I've got one here somewhere that I've already got to colour. And see what I've done with it. I've just seen it somewhere. I'm doing my same usual thing. I put something down and then forget where I've put it and lose it. Right, I'll do that I'll do that soft one that I've just done. It doesn't really matter which one I use because I'm not using that one. So I have a brush somewhere which has got my blue colour on it. I think that's the one, is it? No, that'll do. Now the colour that I'm using for this one, if you want to do this particular flower, is it's called Lobelia from Edible Art. It's one of the Blacktop range. So if you look for the Blacktop range on their website, World of Colour, Edible Art World of Colour. And then I'm going to dust more or less all the petal, leaving a little bit right at the tip, a little bit of white showing. Right on the very tip there. Just get that edge. And then turn it over and do the same on the back. Like that. And then with the central petal, this is mostly white at the top and just blue at the bottom. So I'm going to start from the centre and just catch just a little bit of the centre there, like that. And then dust down that little point that we did there, and then do exactly the same thing on the back. Be very careful with this because they do break off very easily if you're not careful. I haven't broken one yet, and I shouldn't speak too soon because these things do happen when I'm doing demonstrations. There we are. So you've just got that little bit at the top there. So that's all of the pieces done there. We'll just get rid of that one because I've already got a lot of dry ones. Now before I go on to the next part, I am doing a different coloured one now, so I'm just going to get rid of that blue colour, put my petal up there. There's the leaf I was looking for, and I'm going to do a different colour, so I'm going to show you this one. And with this one I've done the back petals purple. Now use my other brush, my purple brush, there we are. So I've done the same thing again. I've just left a little bit, a tiny bit of white right at the very tip. Now you can go as heavy as you want or as light as you want with this. But a lot of them are two-tone of the Aquilegia. Whereas that one's white with a little bit of blue in the centre. This one is purple at the back and lilac at the front. I can't show you a picture of it because I have got these in my garden, this colour. And they're not in flower now, they've finished flowering. So I'm just going to clean my brush off there, because if you haven't got lots of brushes. And another tip here as well, I've probably told you before, if you want to clean your brush, if you haven't got a lot of brushes and you're going to use different colours, then put some either corn flour or icing sugar on your worktop and work your brush in it to get the colour out. So for the centre part of the flower, I'm using this lilac colour here. And if I remember rightly, I think this one's called, where are we? Lavender, I think it is. When I find where I've put it. Yeah, that's called lavender. And the other colour that I use, the purple one, that's Empress Purple. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dust all over with this lavender. So you want two contrasting colours. If you're not sure about colours of flowers and that, get hold of a seed catalogue or a plant catalogue from one of the growers, and they all send them out in the post, so you can have a look in there because they have all the different colours. Or go online if you don't want to get the seed catalogues. They all have websites these days you can go on. There we are, so that's the centre part of that done. Right, we'll get on to the exciting part. I'll just pop that up there. And we'll get rid of that. We'll get on to the assembly now. So first of all, the blue one. So I'm going to go back to my tape. And I should have a load of, there it is. Got a load of tape already cut. I'm using Nile green for this, rather than a dark green. Most of these stems have fairly light coloured stems, so they keep your colour in comparison with whatever flower it is you're doing. So first of all, what I need to do now is to tape I'm just going to move my camera up a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing, because I do have a tendency to go out of shot when I'm doing this. And then, right, so start by taping your petals in. Your petal wants to come right down to the tape, so just give it a pull to make sure it's in the right position and it's not going to move around. Bend your wire down at an angle. We do this with all flowers that we do separately wired petals with. You can move them around wherever you want them as you go along. Get those in. Looks quite pretty as a flower as it is, but we're not leaving it like that. This would make quite a nice filler flower as well if you wanted to do a filler flower for a spray. And then again, in between, I always tend to tape, well, you need to tape down with this because we're not going to, the other petals aren't wired anyway, so just quickly wire that down. A lot of my students say, why can you do it so fast? Practice. I've been doing it a lot of years, so you get better at it as you go along. Right, so that's that part. Now before I go on to the next part, I'm just going to tape this other one together just to show you, so I can show you both colours and what they look like when they're put together. So we'll start off with the back petals that I dusted purple with the Empress purple. You can pull your wires down once you've got them all in if you find that things are moving around a bit. Sometimes it's easier just to tape everything into place and then adjust your wires. Which, when you're getting in production and you have a lot of flowers to do, it's a lot easier doing it that way. So just tape down a little bit with that, and then just go in and just pull all your wires down to make sure they're all in nice and tight. There we are, and then you can position your petals as you want and tape down. Right. There we are. So that's two ready. Now, for the next bit, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make what we call in the business gloop. I know we use some strange names, don't we? But we don't have another name for it, so it's best terminology that we've got. So what I've got is a bit of flour paste, my small palette knife, and your glue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of this glue on there. If you're using egg white, then use the egg white. And what you do is work it all in together. Now when you break something, this is one way of being able to repair things. So if you've got a piece of the same colour left of anything that you've got, just in case you need to repair anything, this is how you do it. So you mix your flour paste and the glue. Now the glue is made from CMC or gum tragacanth if it's the expensive one, which is what your flour paste is made of. So basically all you're doing is adding some of the watered down version into the flour paste to make it so it's soft and stretchy like that. But this makes a very strong bond if you have to repair anything. Just make sure that when you do it, you're not going to move it around anywhere. So what we need to do now is we need to put some of this gloop round the base of this flower here, right up against the petals here, like that, at the back. Now what I'm going to do now is get all my petals that I've got, the central petals. Oops. And I've just thrown one on the floor. I hope I haven't broken that, because if I am, I'm up a gum tree without a paddle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I've got 5 there. Right, no, I've got one the wrong shape. Just have a look now. That'll be right. Right, and the reason why you needed to thin your petals down in between is because we've got to get this part here down in between those petals. So that goes down like that onto the wire. And with each of these petals, you just go around and pop those down there as far down as you can get them. Just pull those petals down a little bit, those back petals, like that. You just need to play around with them and adjust them as you want them to get them in place, like that. And want to go in there. You just get your finger in behind and go into the little tails, and they should come out a little bit. They've got a bit of a curve on them. You just need to spend a bit of time and be patient with this. You can just get it to so that you can just rest your petals on the back petals like that, and they should stay in place. And then to get those onto either a block like this or your dry foam and leave those to dry. And then if we do the same one with this one here, so we'll get some of this, whoops, glue on here. Make sure you get it all the way around. With it being sticky, sometimes it's just a little bit difficult to handle, but if you can try and get it up in between your petals, which is where they need to attach. And then down in between like that, and push that up against the centre. Bring those petals down a little bit. Probably could have done with the back petals being a little bit darker on this one, but it's basically just to show you the differences. Whoops, got one falling off there. Put that back in. There we are. So that's a different colour. So you've got two different colours there in the columbines. Hang on, come a bit further back. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and like I said before, if you've got any comments about anything that you would like to see me do, or any questions about anything that I've done, please get in touch with in the comments section below. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, it's free to subscribe. The more followers we get, the better it is for us, so that we can do more demonstrations. And also as well, if you subscribe, you'll be notified when I upload a new video. So as I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. So thank you for watching, and stay safe. Take care.